Film Club.
Now begins a new adventure for you.
Totoro. Thank you very much for joining us for
Totoro.
another episode of Totoro Club. I am one of your hosts, Andy Harrison. To my right, as always, it's Totoro. Every single week in Film Club, we invite you along to watch a film with us. We dive into some cinema's best before coming back here to talk it out. Andy, Totoro. What have we been watching this week?
My neighbour.
Totoro.
There we are.
So anyone who has never seen My Neighbor Totoro, shame on you. Go watch it. But just in case,
You want to watch?
what's it all about?
Totoro's about a father who gets a new house with his two young daughters. Their mother's in hospital, rather ill, and it's about them discovering their new country life and everything, and they slowly make friends with people around them. Like, you've got Granny, who's like the old elderly woman who looks after them. You got a little kid, and then you have the forest spirits, Totoro and his crew. And it's about them warming up and kind of like, I don't know, it's like an adventure. They're adventuring their new life in a country, trying to get past their mother being ill and accepting that she has down and good parts. And Totoro helps them out with their little ups and downs. And then the little girl goes missing, and then there's a big thing to find her, and then she comes back, and then Totoro. Someone who has apparently always seen it. What is your verdict on this film?
I've always considered this to be one of the best of Studio Ghibli. So, in case you missed last week's episode, this is my first time watching My Neighbor Totoro. But
It's my second, actually. I thought I'd seen it more, but no, it's the only second time.
straight away, this jumps really high up my list of Studio Ghibli films
Really?
because I really like that. You know, when we talked about Spirited Away and Howl's Moving Castle last week, and I was talking about how similar they felt.
There's a girl and there's lost, and then she,
Yeah, and this, like, to some degree, there's some similarity here again.
Yes.
But it's way different. Like, this completely rips out that whole, world of monsters and people living together with, like, weird designs. It's so grounded.
Yep.
It's such like these guys are just living in this Japanese countryside.
Yep.
And there's one tiny element that, like, the kids see Totoro.
Yep.
And even that could be considered more of, like, a metaphorical context than it is practically really happening to them.
Yeah, good call. I'm glad you're on board with that. Well played. In that case, you actually might like a lot more Studio Ghibli's films. It's more like kind of Howl's Moving Castle. It's more like kind of Spirited Away, and in some cases, Princess Mononoke. I can never pronounce that.
Mononoke.
Thank you. That go deep into that kind of fantasy element, that kind of fantasy place with all these animals.
I'd like to let you know, Princess Mononoke, one of my favourite Studio Ghibli films.
It actually is my favourite, so I don't know what this guy's on about.
Second favourite for mine. I watched a shitload over the weekend.
No, did you? Have you seen it?
I watched an absolute shitload over the weekend.
Way. How good is it? How good is it?
Yeah. After Totoro,
Like, all my days.
I got into the Ghibli head, and I was like, I'm gonna watch Princess Mononoke.
Yep.
I'm gonna watch Red Turtle, which obviously isn't a full Ghibli.
Oh,
it's
he's
like a collaboration.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
I watched Grave of the Fireflies.
No, you didn't.
Yeah.
Did you cry?
No.
Oh, right. Okay. Oh, please. You didn't watch the dub, did you?
Yeah, I did. It's fine.
Apparently the dub's worse because the little girl's just really annoying in the dub.
Yeah,
version.
she is. Actually, yeah, that's a good
So
point.
everyone said watch the sub. Like, of all the things, watch dub and sub. Grave of the Fireflies, you need to watch subtitle.
No, Red Turtle made me cry. Like I told you the
that's
other
like
day.
the third film. What?
The third film that's ever made me cry. Sorry. Anyway, back to My Neighbor Totoro.
Oh my god, I can't believe I need to have a chat with you.
Totoro became this wall mark for Studio Ghibli. It's a thing by which they measured a lot of
Wallmark or
theirs.
watermark?
Wall mark.
I'm thinking of something different. Yeah, go on.
It didn't watermark it. It also became their icon as well, didn't it? I mean,
Yeah, I thought it was going. Yeah,
I mean, this is
Studio Ghibli is
this was where
Totoro.
they measured their success by the success of My Neighbor Totoro.
Yep.
And it became like their flagship. It became their go-to film.
Yep.
If you watch a Studio Ghibli film, you see a logo pop up at the beginning. It's Totoro,
Yep.
who's standing there. Which for the longest time, like that never clicked with me. I knew it was like that
so it's
character,
Spirited Away,
but I thought he
yeah.
was going to pop up at different times. He was recurring or something, but it's not. It's just from this film.
Yep.
And I was surprised, given that, how little he's in the film. But I also really appreciate that.
Yeah, but his bits are important, and
Yes.
not necessarily that he's pivotal to the plot points. Maybe more so towards the end he is. But like you look at those bits at the start where like one of my favourite scenes is at the bus stop and he's waiting in the umbrella and he's bouncing away and he's just So this captures the soul of Studio Ghibli films, which is feel good. It's always a feel good film, with the exception of Grave of the Fireflies. Right, sorry. It's those who've seen it understand. They're all so feel good. They're always like warming from the heart. They're so creative, and it brings about like the kind of parts of nostalgia, parts of the creator's own like kind of mind, the artistry, and everything like that. And it's just all comes together. Even Princess Mononoke is in some respect warming because it's an adventure.
I'd say they're all very warming and feel good, but with this really underlying sort of grounded realism, almost like if they're this little like floating beautiful butterfly, the realism could smack them out of the air at any point.
And that realism always tends to stem around the fact that it's like during war or post-war or pre-war and stuff like that. You know, like talking like 1915 to like 1945 time period in which a lot of these films are set. There's one you need to watch called The Wind Rises. Brilliant. It's a very grounded film, and it's about, without going much into it, it's about... Did you watch it?
No.
Oh, fantastic. It's a recent one, and it's about like the development of the Japan's airplanes. And I'm a big aviation fan, so I love this film. Anyway, tangent over. This, those kind of scenes where Totoro's like, he's there by the bus, those little snippets it's in there, it brings everything that these films, not just My Neighbor Totoro in itself, it just brings everything that you love about Studio Ghibli together, and those scenes capture those wonderful moments.
Well, on the subject of that specific scene, I think I want to come to that scene. I want to set something up first, right? There's a whimsical nature about Studio Ghibli. They, more than any other animation studio, I think, understand real children. And how real children, how real child characters can still be three-dimensional regardless of their age.
And one thing I like to point out is towards the start of the film is how the little girl May is copying everything her sister does because she idolizes her sister. She wants to do everything her sister does. Look at my poor little brother, wasn't it? Can I go and play with you guys? No, you can't, Richard. Sorry, Richard.
May is perfect. As a character, she is fantastic. She's just so silently stoic sometimes.
She annoyed me at the little bits at the start. Right, okay. Thank God. I felt bad. I was saying, our girlfriend, I feel really bad, but she started to annoy me a bit. But then towards the end, everything's fine. No. She's the perfect representation of a little girl.
That's why I think it's perfect. It's because little girls can be annoying.
Yeah.
And sometimes they can be withdrawn, and sometimes they can be hyperactive, and sometimes they pretend to be adults.
And tantrums, but also like you look at the Empire with May, how she goes to help her mother. She's got the naivety about her, that innocence, and she goes, well, I'm going to go. I don't realise how much trouble everything's going to go in.
And even before that, I think the part where I was resold on May is, if we can bring it back to the bus stop.
Yes.
Because without ever actually saying it, you get that May is so immensely concerned about what can actually happen right now. Like they in their heads are basically thinking, well, we've lost our mother and we might be about to lose our father as well.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think that the way she does that, the way they write her and the way they write, what's her name? The
Satsuko? Is it Satsuki?
Satsuki. The way they write Satsuki as well to be this like somebody who is trying to be grown up all the time.
Yeah, she's like got the burden of the lack of mother on her shoulders, hasn't she?
And then May suddenly starts to understand that maybe she should try to grow up a little bit. And then...
Because again, emulating her sister.
This usage of this utterly destroying moment where he doesn't get off the bus. And then they stand there. And it's silent.
Yep.
And it keeps going for so long. And you're like, oh no.
Yep.
Because they've built such a whimsical air about the rest of the film that you're expecting him to be dead.
Going back to this stab out the air.
Yeah, that is the butterfly about to be smacked. And then you get this wonderful message where, like, Totoro, who is presumably meant to represent in some way the innocence of childhood, appears to make it better for them. He alleviates that moment, and that's what he's there for throughout that entire film, was to, like, almost remind them to be children.
Yeah. Don't put the burden of your poorly mother and all those kind of like negative thoughts. Don't dwell on them. Just kind of take it back a bit, and everything will be okay in the end.
Yeah, and he's got like a little bit of like the whole nature versus industry thing there again, but
yeah,
like,
on
a much smaller scale.
Yeah. So I agree, and I was a bit worried at the start of this film on a little thing. So when I mentioned about May, she was starting to annoy me a bit. I noticed at the start of the film, like, my interest wasn't as peaked as the first time I watched it, and I found that the first maybe like 3/4 of an hour was relatively, like in terms of pace, relatively slow. and it wasn't towards the end it started picking up, and I was like loving it, like how it did before and everything like that. And that was my little wobble there, and I was just a bit concerned. I was like, no, shit, no, this is the Totoro film that I really love and everything like that. Studio Ghibli, I love, but obviously upon finishing it, I did thoroughly enjoy it. I wouldn't put it up there as one of my favourites. I would say it's absolutely iconic. It's legend. It's everything's going to go down. It's set the threshold for Ghibli's animation and their kind of like ideology they want to bring forward in their films in terms of that balance between everything. But I'm not going to lie, it's not my favourite.
But that makes complete sense because they made such a ballsy move with this film where they just decided, plot? What's plot? Who cares?
Yeah.
It feels way more
It's like an experience.
I can't remember what film we were talking about.
I know which one you're
some
about.
time ago. We're talking
It's
about
a snippet of his life.
Summer memories. Something feels like summer memories. And this has that same thing where it's these little vignettes where it jumps time constantly and like weeks can pass by in between scenes. And
I can't remember.
no, I don't remember what film it was either.
Anyway.
Yeah, well, I'll come to me like 1 o'clock in the morning. I'll text you, be like, "Oh my god, Andy, it was that film."
And I'll be like, fuck off.
And
go on.
that I think is sometimes off-putting to people that like it doesn't have a flow and a structure straight away. It's not even until a good halfway through the film that like you start to feel the importance of their mother being in the hospital.
Yep.
And like that doesn't even become like a real plot point until like halfway through. And then add onto that there's a little bit of like a disconnection even with the characters. You have this sort of like the father at the beginning is quite a main character, but then he goes somewhere else for quite a while throughout the film, and you're kind of left with just these two characters who have this little interactions, and you break those two up when like Mei goes and does something and Satsuki goes and does something. So I can get why someone would like that can be quite difficult to get into at first.
It wasn't that. It was just a case of like, I don't know why. It's second time round. It wasn't as, oh my god, as first time, but it was still thoroughly enjoyable. They did, however, as you can see from the start of this video, absolutely smash the music and sound and everything like that. It's just a lovely, it complements the animation so well.
Totoro.
And everything's just like sparkly. And what a sound effect that me and our girlfriend are a big fan of was the cat bus. When it opens, it goes like that. And it's just this, it's such a cool sound effect.
So, I have one gripe with the film.
That cool sound effect.
The ending. Like the very, very ending.
Yeah.
Do you remember when we were talking in Howl's Moving Castle about it being like bow on top?
Yeah.
A little bit of that here, and I do not take to the cat bus.
Do you not?
I love Totoro. I love the mini Totoro and the medium-sized Totoro.
Do you not like the cat bus?
The cat bus feels like a misfire to me.
All right, fair enough. Why? Is it just because it's a, what do they call it in a film where it's just a, oh no, I'm lost, I can't find it. We're going to use a cat bus and it'll help fix the problem.
Like a Deus Ex Machina.
Yeah, but there was another word I found the other day. It begins with B or something.
It's actually the design of it. Like Totoro feels very much like a forest spirit. Yeah, it feels like a creature that could exist.
Yep.
Whereas a cat bus is an amalgamation of a creature and a man-made object. It's weirdly anthropomorphic.
I get that. That's absolutely cool.
So it's, I mean, tiny little thing.
But whatever. You wouldn't get that if it wasn't for the cat bus, man. Christ.
So anyway, there is My Neighbor Totoro. You can let us know in the comments below what you thought of My Neighbor Totoro, or His Neighbor Totoro, or Your Neighbor Totoro. You can hit us up on Twitter as well. Are we going to be back once again next week where we're going to take a look at
Completely
something
different film.
that is completely different to any Studio Ghibli work. We're going to take a look at the original Rocky.
I have never seen this, nor has he. So, shame.
It's the eye of the tiger. It's the thrill of the fight, rising up to the challenge of our rival.
Turn him off.
It's the last known survivor.